Susan, yes, sweetie. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. What, how are you?
It's a good rip. So do you?
Dr. Vandermesh.
Hello, everyone. We're going to call our meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Big day tomorrow. And I wanted to also welcome, it's our first meeting with our new solicitor, Dawson Hodgson. So he is here, everyone. As many of you know, he served at the Attorney General's office for several years before being elected for 2 terms as a state senator. So people from the southern part of town probably familiar with him. He had experience working with town councils in 4 towns in that capacity. And then probably people also aware that he then ran for Attorney General and was and had to offload a lot of his cases when he was doing that. And so that gave us a great opportunity when we saw that he had some bandwidth for us. So again, welcoming him, and hopefully we'll start a brand new relationship in that role. We have several meeting minutes that we're going to be approving tonight, but we're going to pull the January 5th executive session meeting minutes because they're not yet ready. So is there a motion for January 20th, 2015 regular meeting minutes approval, February 17th, 2015 regular meeting minutes approval, and March 2nd, 2015 work session meeting approval?
I'll move that motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Right. We have several announcements and presentations tonight. Our first is based a brief summary of what occurred at our work session from 6:30 to 7:30 with our auditors. So from Bacon and Company, we have Pat here.
She just walked away.
She had a phone call. So what we'll do then is we have a presentation by the Narragansett Lions Club. Good evening.
Good evening. I am Dan Carter. I'm here with Stephen Fabrizio, who is the current president of the Narragansett Lions Club. We are here this evening to present the town with this lovely shadow box, which commemorates the Oktoberfest that was organized by the Lions for the benefit of the Rhode Island Military Family Relief Fund and the Rhode Island branch of Operation Stand Down. The Rhode Island Military Family Relief Fund is an organization which provides financial assistance to combat wounded and recently deployed Rhode Island National Guard and Reserve members, and Operation Stand Down is an organization that helps homeless and at-risk veterans secure housing, education, employment, and other personal services as may be necessary. You may recall that the Oktoberfest was a one-day event held at Veterans Park. We had food, we had music, various activities. In the end, the Lions Club, the Narragansett Lions, were able to present 2 checks to the 2 organizations to assist in their annual needs. And in appreciation for our contribution, those 2 organizations provided us with these tokens of appreciation that we have in the shadow box. This is the second time that the Lions Club has hosted an event in favor of the Rhode Island Military Family Relief Fund. If you notice in the hallway out front here, there is a plaque commemorating the 2007 event that we hosted, and so we're hopeful that this can hang on the wall next to that same plaque. So it comes from the Lions Club to the town of Narragansett, and I would be remiss if I did not also put in a plug for the Narragansett Lions while I have the attention of the council. The Lions is an international organization, 1.4 million members, 46,000 Lions clubs around the world, and your Narragansett Lions Club is the 3rd largest in the United States and the 5th largest in the world. We have 250 members. We contribute hundreds and hundreds of hours of volunteer service. If there's anybody here in the room this evening, anybody listening out in TV land that wants to join our club, you can find us. You can find our website online. You can find various Lions members sitting up front, sitting in the audience. There's about 4 Lions members here this evening. Our regular events We sell the Christmas trees at the Rotary at Christmas time, the Pier Plunge on January 1, Breakfast with Santa, the Easter egg hunt, which is Saturday the 28th at Gazebo Park, the Get to the Point Road Race in Galilee, which is October, and then we have a simple little event that's the last weekend of July, which is called the Blessing of the Fleet Road Race and Seafood Festival. Maybe you've seen it or heard of it. We're proud of what we do for the town, but we also recognize that without the town's support, we would not be the club that we are. So really, it is thanks from the Narragansett Lions to the town for all that you allow us to do on behalf of the town. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. Thank you. All right, Pam, if the auditor's not back, what we'll do is the bike path update on the bike path feasibility study results.
I think everyone knows we've been waiting for a report from the state, and that was a consolidated report from about 18 different agencies. RIDOT is obviously the lead agency, but we had a meeting with 18 different agencies, including the Corps of Army Engineers and Federal Fish and Wildlife, and there was another federal at that meeting. Anyhow, after waiting about a year and a half, we did receive a couple of weeks ago a report from them, and it was reviewed by myself, the Community Development Director and Planner, the Town Engineer, and Parks and Recreation Director. It provides 7 alternatives, including one which is intended to combine with other options to provide a scenic overlook that does not go all the way to the sea. The other ones go all the way to the sea. Cost estimates range from $800,000 for the scenic overlook spur, that would just be a spur that ends, it doesn't go to the sea, to $10 million for the town's originally preferred route. Each estimate includes a 20% contingency cost item. Every option except one includes at least 600 feet or more of elevated boardwalk, which is a big ticket expense. $3,200 per linear foot versus $70 per linear foot for asphalt paving. Our conclusions are this. Alternative 1, the Seaview route, is the most expensive and requires the most boardwalk of all options, and it costs $10 million. Alternatives 3, 4, and 5 utilize on-street segments for the bike path, which the town opposes. Alternate 2 is the lowest cost of those that utilize some part of the Seaview Railroad right-of-way. That's $5 million. Alternate 3A, this is one that we asked for that used none of our Narragansett streets, and that one cost $7.1 million. Funding available. As of right now, we have $700,000 that we think is still there in the original earmark funds. $1,550,000 was the 2011 TIP request. So altogether, we have possibility, and this is only a possibility, not guaranteed to us, $2,200,000 as of today. Our funding shortfall at a minimum is $2,800,000 for alternative 2, and $4,900,000 for alternative 3A. The result of this is all our cost estimates far exceed any figures previously anticipated based on the 2000 feasibility study. Staff considers it cost prohibitive to anticipate local funding for the shortfall. Staff suggests the town council communicate its preferred alternative to the state in light of the most recent information provided in the feasibility report, but not encourage the RIDOT to move forward until a supplemental funding source is identified and secured. There's 2 possibilities here: the next TIP solicitation and potential public or private grant funding sources. There is one alternative we want to put up here. It might be to ask RIDOT to pursue development of the spur at $800,000, and also to keep a placeholder in the TIP for its eventual extension to the beach. This would use the remainder of the existing earmark, which will otherwise be lost to repairs and maintenance on existing sections of the path. In other words, if we go on now to look for more funding in the next tip that we can get on, they won't keep the funds that we may be eligible for right now available to us. They may go for repairs on the parts of the path that are already built. It would also be the basis for a future tip request from the town once the state sends out its next solicitation. So in a nutshell, what we've decided is that the estimates came in so far above anything that was originally anticipated. We simply do not have the money. We do not think it's a particularly good time to be putting millions of dollars of taxpayer money into the bike path at this time. We suggest you look to the tip, that we wait to go out on the tip. This means we may lose the money already earmarked for us. We will lose the earmark money. We'll probably lose the tip money too. But we could go out for the full extent of a bike path on the next tip. And that
Thank you,
is-
Pam. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Do you have other updates on state projects?
Yeah, there was something I just handed to Ann that came in the packet with the roads
Yes.
from RIDOT.
Yes, this is in the start of construction. This is from RIDOT. This is a announcement that construction's going to start. Please accept this letter as notification to the start of construction on the project route, on the subject project. The project consists of repairs to bridge number 483 carrying Woodruff Avenue over Route 1, Narragansett, and bridges number 484, 45, and 46 that carry Route 1 over Salt Pond Road, Saugatuck River and Pond Street respectively in South Kingstown. The brief scope of work is temporary support / jacking system, demolition of pier caps, and construction of new pier caps at all bridges. Also included will be to replace deck joints, repairs to beams, deck and columns, along with other incidental construction and maintenance and projection of traffic. The substantial completion date is September 12, 2016. The prime contractor is Cardi Corps of Warwick, and the RIDOT field office is located 4979 Tower Hill Road in Wakefield. And that's it.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if the accountant is out there, so what we're going to do is we'll just move to our open forum portion of the meeting, and so this is the portion of the meeting where individuals in the town can come forward regarding issues of concern. So please, I don't have my, so keep it at 3 minutes, and I'm not going to be able to time you. So anyway, come on up, Pat.
Name is Pat Brady. You probably know what I'm going to talk about, the bike path. I'm just shocked that after 5 years of work, that the town manager and the departments have decided, without any type of workshop with those who have put in this amount of work, to simply say, we're going to put it on the back burner until tomorrow, maybe 10 years from now. I just find it insulting to me and to the people of the town, the people in this town, that you would think that little of the bike path. There's no presentation here tonight as to what the alternatives were, what the price tags were, nothing. I find
So, Pat, yeah, so we received as council members the packet. So what I'm going to do is I actually have mine, and Mike DeLuca is not here, but if anyone from the town wants to go through this, because again, it was Pam's presentation. We have 7 different versions here. As you heard, they range. The expenses are much more than anticipated. So I don't know if you've been through this or not.
No.
So yeah, what I'm going to do is, and if we can just have Mike, people can check out my version and they can go over it. And then if people go through that and they want to come back with it, the dollar figures are just so much bigger, I think, than people anticipated, that we would be
It's
spending
obvious.
taxpayer dollars on this.
It's
Yeah.
obvious that
Right.
certain alternatives were extremely expensive. It
Right.
was brought to the town council's.
So what I would encourage people to do is if we could get extra copies of it, but like I said, I'll give mine out as long as, promise not to lose it on me. Go through it, because, I went through it, and the big thing is, it's not even about arguing one path or the other, it's just they're all so expensive. So we're going to try to get tip money down the road That seems sensible to me, but, maybe that's wrong. If people want to go through these, we could then schedule something.
I would ask the council to continue the issue rather than make a blanket statement that you're not going to entertain anything on the bike.
Well, a council member can always bring something up. So I think I would encourage people to look this over. Patrick, you said you had yours, but again, because Pat, it's not about which path is better. I think your path actually came out to be probably the good one, the way that it looks if you just look at the plan, but it's not about that. They're all so expensive.
Yeah.
We're in a bind.
But Pat, to your point, I mean, I don't want to just completely abandon it. I mean, for 5 years, people have worked on it. I know Teresa Tanzi, there was a group out there that really came together. Again, not about the path, but how we're going to fund it. So maybe we have a workshop, because I would like to see in some way, whether it's tips, I don't want to lose that money. So I think we have to maybe schedule a workshop after everybody goes through that, so we can at least make some kind of decisions. So I'm not completely satisfied with saying forget it.
Well, I thank you for that. But what I heard here from the town manager was that you're thinking about funding a spur out into the salt marsh, the most expensive part of the project. I'm asking you to put on hold your decisions on this until there is a workshop. That's all I'm asking.
No, and that's what we're doing. I mean, obviously, it's too expensive right now. It's just so expensive, all of them.
Well, we don't know that. I'm sorry.
No, I know, right, but I mean, that's what that's the recommendation that we got, yeah, so,
We can schedule a workshop.
Fine, thank you.
thanks. Stan?
Talk a little bit about money. You see a lot of building in town. When I see building in town, that's kind of nice, because now the assessments will go up, and we'll have more money. So you're going to actually receive more money from the residents of the town just based on building. Therefore, I would think it would just be the right thing to do is there should be no tax increase, because you're getting extra money. So it appears that the tax increase that you might be thinking about is kind of a want rather than a need. I'm not sure, because I don't know exactly, but there's $1 million homes out there. I just think that we have to continue to look at the numbers. We were just in critical phase a little bit ago, and we're only out of critical phase according to the state by 0.6%. So, according to the state, we're in trouble. We don't have money. We're out of money. We have a $110 million pension type problem that we're still looking at. So this puts a halt on any discretionary spending, as I said before, and I'll say again, until we have firm numbers that we fix our bills with. It's a bill. This is a bill. We've got to fix our bill, make sure it's payable before we go to anything, whether a library, a path, I don't care what it is. And I think the biggest thing that I need to really convey up here is that people got to stop coming up here asking for money. This is not a money pit. This is no longer, it was for 30, 40, 50 years. I've been around since 61, been around town hall since 70-something. This is no longer the money pit it used to be. Therefore, if someone asks for money, until we look at this $110 million problem and fix it, nothing's available. That's the responsible thing to do at this point. I'm sorry. It happened. I just want you to be aware of that. Stop any discretionary spending. Thank you.
Thank you, Stan.
Good evening. I'm Rosemary Smith. I've appeared before you before for the bike path, and I wanted to reiterate the fact that I, too, feel that there should be some type of presentation made to the public about the feasibility study. We have been working on this project since 2007, and I know there are many people in town who worked on it for 20 years before that. And we've been moving along a continuum where we had town input, we had the town council approved one of the paths, sent it forward to be considered along with other paths. The state has spent money, looking at the size of the report that you have in front of you, I'm sure a lot of money to do a feasibility study, and just to stop it in motion and not proceed forward, I think is not a good thing to do. There are many people in this town and around us who would like to see a completion of the path. And that information that would be helpful in that decision would be in that packet. So I would please ask you to have some type of a public presentation about the feasibility study so we can move forward in the path. The strategy of not moving forward doesn't make it cheaper in the future. As we can see, by not making decisions for the last 20 years, we have really put ourselves, or the state and the federal government, in the bind for the cost of that bike path, because it doesn't really come from the town funds. So not making a decision right now, I think, is not the way to go. So I would ask each of you to consider having some type of public forum, a workshop, that would talk about the feasibility study, and then set up some procedure for moving forward so that we can get ourselves into a tip in the future. And we will have done our homework so that we're ready to go and move on with the next step. So that's my plea to you.
No, and my plea too is I want to have people check this out. If we need to make extra copies, Pam, I think that we need to, so that before we do that, people, because the dollar values are a lot bigger than the estimates had been.
Astounding.
And they just are.
Astounding. I hear that.
It's less about the path choice than so I encourage, before we do it, I will want the people who have been involved in this to really look over all of that so that they can also get a gut check on how much more this was, which kind of floored me at least. But
Right, but I think not making a decision to go forward and informing the public itself, not just the people who've been interested to look and read at it, but going forward and making a public presentation, I think would be a very good thing for us to do. So that's my plea, and I hope you'll consider it. Thanks so much for all you do. All right.
Thanks, Rosemary.
Good evening. My name is Bob Vatava. I chair the Friends of the South County Bike Path. We thank Ms. Nolan for her presentation. I would agree with the previous comments made by people here today. First of all, I would say I'm a little surprised at these cost estimates, and I'm not sure what's going on. I think maybe some of these contractors or people think that the towns and the state is still loaded with money. If you'll notice that the comfort station on Main Street in Wakefield, a DOT project for construction, it was estimated by DOT to come in at 800 and something, and several bids came in over $1 million, 1.2 or so. Now, supposedly the project was to be finished in October, and if not, the contractor would be fined. It's sitting there unfinished. So undoubtedly, there must have been a profit in this particular project. Now, in terms of the money that's left in Governor Chafee's earmarked funding, I don't think that we need to worry about that being taken away. We have spoken to Jack Reed, our senator, and told him of the responsible work taking place, both with the town, with the DOT, et cetera. We frequently are in Washington and meet with their staff. I don't think they have any problem with leaving the money when there's a responsible action taking place. There are situations in the state where there were monies and the particular town emphatically said, no, we don't want it. Well, when that comes forward, I can understand the money's being removed. Without seeing and reading this, and we appreciate your thoughts of getting more copies out to the public, it's hard to appraise what might be the best option and so forth. The East Bay Bike Path, if you're familiar with it, where the Audubon Society is located, has a long piece of boardwalk going from the bike path up to the Audubon office and then going the other way out to the water. So there's a precedent for this quality of work. Also, the thing is, with economic development, we constantly hear the word, we have to do economic development. Well, it's ironic that in the most recent issue of the New York Times, their magazine, there's a full-page ad from the state of New Hampshire. It shows one bike gently going through the beautiful countryside. Unfortunately, our state's tourism office has been wanting to get the America's Cup here every Saturday, and I don't realize some of the assets that they have in the state and taking advantage of it. Hopefully, Rhode Island can realize that bike paths are a major source of tourism money. Thank you.
You. All right, if we don't have anyone else during public comment, we still waiting on the auditor, okay? What we'll do is we'll take the consent agenda, move to the consent agenda, and if there's any items that a council member would like to remove.
Do you have any, Ray?
All right, so then if there's a motion to approve the entire consent agenda,
I'll move that motion.
Second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion approved, 5-0. I think we can do the public hearings. It's 8. Yeah, I'm looking at that clock, but, okay. Okay, so we'll have our stenographer get prepared. First, a motion to schedule a public hearing to amend text revisions to Section 5.7 Administrative Review of the Chapter 731 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett entitled Zoning.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
All right, is possible date for this, Ann? Do you have suggestions? May 18th, everyone, for that?
May
Be 8 o'clock? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have a public hearing on the transfer of a liquor license from a Class BV liquor license from Adirondack Development Company, LLC, doing business as Buster Crabs at 265 Great Island Road, Narragansett, Rhode Island, Plat IG, Lot 95, to Bam Peg 1112 LLC, doing business as Buster Crabs at 265 Great Island Road, Narragansett, Rhode Island, Plat IG, Lot 95. Is there a motion to open the public
I'll
hearing?
make that motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so our first witnesses, if you could be sworn in by our attorney, please.
Good evening, President, council members. My name is Mark Fay. I'm the attorney for both the transferor and the transferee in this matter. Bamkel Peck LLC, 112 LLC, and Adirondack Development Company LLC. Just as a matter of point at the beginning, I do have a copy of Mrs. Snow's marriage license. Her application, she got married in between, so some of the application, I think, references a certain previous name of Oatley. And I think the application might reference Snow. So I do have a copy of her marriage license for the solicitors to make it part of the record.
Thank you.
I think all of you are familiar with this particular restaurant down in Galilee. I think it's Jay Hoff's the principal member of Adirondack LLC. He's the one who developed it, put it together, I think, for the last 3 or 4 years. It's been a successful family-type restaurant, really. A lot of the tourists go down there, coming on and off the boat to Block Island. I've been there with my family on a number of occasions. Jay, the principal member of the corporation which owns that restaurant, he's actually moving out of state. And what he did was he did a search to find the right person to take over the restaurant. His concern was he put a lot of his time, sweat, and blood into it. He liked the concept, he liked the family atmosphere, he liked the Buster Crab theme, the menu, and he wanted someone that was willing to take over the business and continue that same theme. And after that search, after there were multiple applications, Mr. Hoff decided upon Mrs. Snow to take over the restaurant. We had many meetings about this, and I'll turn it over to Mrs. Snow in a minute, but she has agreed to continue the same restaurant motif that is there right now. It's going to be basically the same menu, the same operating, the same look, the same name. So at this time, we're seeking to transfer the license from Adirondack Development Company LLC to Bamkel Peck 112 LLC. And again, Mrs. Snow is the principal member of the receiving LLC, so I'll leave it up to the council now with any questions you may have for Mrs. Snow.
Good evening.
Hi, Mrs. Snow. The current restrictions are the same, going to be the same, so everything is going to be transferred over. So, Dawson, maybe we could just look at those and make sure we all understand that those current restrictions and conditions of the establishment. So just read them through so everybody knows.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I had an opportunity to review this application along with the town clerk. And the application, the only question we had related to the change of name, which we suspected related to marriage. The conditions are listed in the memorandum to the town council, and we have reviewed the conditions on neighboring restaurants. And this would be consistent with the restrictions placed on the neighboring venues.
Just read through them so the public can hear them
Oh,
as well.
absolutely.
Sorry, just so that everybody knows the restrictions are going to be the same, and the transfer is going to be very similar, without a problem, I don't think.
The restrictions that will be placed on this establishment, or will remain on this establishment, include a maximum of 10 bar seats or stools. Outside service on the deck patio area is allowed. No new parties may be seated outdoors after 10:30 p.m. Low acoustic, meaning 1 to 2 pieces of background music with low amplification, are permitted Sunday through Thursdays until 10 p.m. and Fridays and Saturdays until 11 p.m.
Satisfied? Yes.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions for our applicant? All right, we may call you back if anybody else comes forward. Are there any other people in the audience who would like to testify regarding this application?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say good luck to you, okay? Best of luck.
All right, then I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. And
And,
then a motion on the
To
merits.
transfer the licenses under the current conditions from Buster Crabs.
Second.
Discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 5-0. Best of luck. Thank you.
Good luck.
Good.
Next, we have a public hearing on the proposed Scarborough wastewater treatment facility flood-proofing project and a motion to receive and place on file the recommendation from the planning board on this proposal.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
John Lawless is here representing Jeff Suzerain.
Oh, he's here for Jeff. Okay, I was going to ask that. Okay, so is that a motion to open the public
Yes, yeah, we
hearing?
just-
Second?
Second.
Took
All right.
a second, but not a...
All right, all in favor of opening the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
A motion approved 5-0. Hello.
Hello, councilors. Good evening. My name is John Lawless. I'm a project engineer in the engineering department. Do I need to first be sworn in for this public hearing?
Yes, you do. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Raise
Dawson.
your right hand, please. In the matter before the Narragansett Town Council, you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
And you're here for Jeff.
Yes, councilors, I'm here for Jeff this evening. Jeff was otherwise not able to make it. As I said, I work with Jeff in the engineering department. I am here tonight to present the public hearing for the Scarborough wastewater treatment plant flood-proofing project. We are here tonight to have a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is twofold. One is to fulfill the requirements of a prerequisite to the grant application process. Second, we are here to request town council to authorize applying for the grant. The grant that we are applying for is a CDGB-DR, that stands for Community Development, it's a Community Development Block Grant Disaster Relief. We will be making application to the Rhode Island Department of Administration in the amount of $1,750,000. By applying for this grant, it is not a commitment of local funding. The grant will be a no-match grant. That is, that we will be applying for the full amount of the estimated construction cost. You should all have a packet that was distributed to you. Within that packet is a memo from the planning board, and also a alternatives evaluation report that was prepared by the RT Group. It's an engineering firm that we hired to prepare this report. As a precursor to this public hearing, this project was also heard before the planning board. The planning board did issue a memorandum dated February 10th, which gives its favorable recommendation to apply for the grant. Within that packet, there's some background information about the project, which I will now describe without reading the background verbatim. As you all know, the Scarborough wastewater treatment plant is our major wastewater treatment plant that serves all homes in the south end of town that are connected to sanitary sewer. The plant is vital to all residents in terms of being able to reside in their homes, that the plant remains in continuing operation. Many components of the plant are not able to be moved. The plant site itself is within the 100-year flood zone, and it is subject to, is vulnerable to storm surges. Most recently, in Storm Sandy, the site itself, portions of the site did incur storm damage. As a result of that, the town, realizing that we are vulnerable to more damage in the next storm that will be as intense as Sandy, we took a proactive step to hire the RT group to do a preliminary study to study the different protection options that would protect the plant from the next storm surge. So the RT group did prepare the report, which you all have, the alternatives evaluation report. And their findings are detailed in the report. The RT group, of all the alternatives that they studied, they are, the preferred alternative is what they're calling alternative 2A, which is a steel sheet pile wall that would wrap around the lowest portions of the site.
I'm just going to interrupt you. The alternative evaluation report, you see some people are flipping. We just got that tonight, but
Yeah.
it wasn't in the packet. Okay. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah. I'm
is everyone aware of that? Okay, because,
Yeah, because we weren't able to read it, we're trying to follow along with
Oh.
you, but this is first time we've seen the thick packet.
so we have the letter from the planning board, we have the
Yep.
memo, right, we have the memo from the disaster relief application memo, but just wanted to make sure we didn't have this before. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, what the RT group did is they studied several different possibilities for what we might implement for the sole purpose of protecting the wastewater treatment plant from a storm similar to or greater than Sandy. And the objective is to protect the plant and all its components from a storm surge. There are components of the plant that are below the 100-year floodplain that when, if there's a storm ocean surge, those components, if they're inundated, it may cause the plant to be inoperational. As I said, many of those components are, due to the plant configuration, are not able to be moved to a higher elevation at the plant site. So that necessitates constructing some type of protection for those components. So of the several alternatives that the RT group studied, and the RT group, just to explain, they are a local coastal engineering firm located in North Kingstown, Rhode Island. They specialize in coastal engineering. So of all the alternatives that they study, they've recommended that we install a sheet pile wall, so that it would be a steel wall in effect that would surround the lowest portions of the plant site, thereby creating a barrier from stormwater. So they've estimated that the cost of the construction cost to construct that at $1,750,000. That is the amount that we are proposing to apply for to the CDGB grant.
So procedurally, you'd be applying for that amount, and then at the end of the year, it appears, that's when we would
Yeah.
get, the application would be.
That's correct, yeah. Based, to date, we have only submitted a letter of interest to the Department of Administration for this grant. We have not yet filed a formal application. We're here tonight to request authorization to file a formal application. We have just recently become aware that our letter of interest, our letter of intent, that what we're proposing is eligible for this grant. So now that we have learned that it's eligible, now it would be the appropriate time to make application. However, the town, the grant would be for construction of the floodproofing only. The town will be paying for the final design. Engineering will request of the town council authorization for final design, but we'll do that at a later date. We first need to go through a grant environmental screening process before we are allowed by the grant process to proceed to final design.
John, did I read somewhere, I can't find it right now, that there's a deadline time of around the 1st of April?
Yes, yeah, what the timeline would be is, the deadline for submitting the application is May 1st.
May 1st.
May 1st.
Okay.
And then, if we're successful in that application, which, the Department of Administration has indicated that, there's a good likelihood, they have indicated that we would be able to enter contract by December of this year, at which point we could then go into the requesting bids and possibly go into construction for spring 2016. And we would have until August 2017 to complete all grant activities.
But the drop dead date we're looking at now is May 1st, so you're looking at time is of the essence right now from the council for a decision.
That's correct, yes. Yeah, and the reason time is of the essence is we were not sure that we qualify, that this proposal would qualify. So we just learned that it does qualify, and that's why we, expedited this public hearing.
Great, thank you. For now, do we have any other people who would like to testify on this?
Yeah, I'd be
Oh,
happy
do you have
to-
questions for him?
I just, the original package that we got included a $75,000 solution that I think was temporary. It was setting up, for lack of a better term, Jersey barriers, and then
Yeah.
putting a pump on the other side. Is that an emergency, if a storm's coming, we'll be able to still do that between now and 2017? Or is that something that would be an emergency tactic?
Well, there are components of the plant that are just, there's no Band-Aid that's going to protect it from, if the
Between now and the
floodwaters
time it's
come, we're
done.
going to need a
I'm not
solid-
saying that this isn't the
Yeah,
right thing to do. I'm
but
saying, what do we do in case?
When we initially looked into it, not knowing that we would have a grant opportunity, we were looking at the most low-cost
Mm-hmm.
alternatives, and I believe one of those low-cost alternatives was to somehow just, I think it was more of like a protective cover for the inlet works.
Okay. But there's a plan in case the storms inevitable.
Oh, yeah, yeah, based on.
And that
you
would
know,
be the
what happened
plan
with Sandy.
that we got earlier?
Yeah.
$75,000 quick patch thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where that $80,000 6-inch pump comes in, right?
No, I don't think so.
That dewatering pump?
No, that was different. This was
I
a
know, but
$50,000
you
pump.
can use that to dewater if you needed to, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you
that's actually.
barricade it and dewater with that pump?
Yep.
That's the plan,
Whatever we
right?
can de-water,
Yeah.
yes.
Right. I had a couple questions here. This is a HUD grant, correct?
That's correct.
Are there any
It-
strings
it's-
attached to this HUD grant?
The money is from
Right.
HUD, the federal.
Well, over
agency
the
HUD.
last couple of years, they've been attaching some strings, and I have concerns of receiving money from the federal government at this time. So with that said, the second question I have, insurance. Now, right now, we're paying insurance, I guess, on that facility, flood insurance.
Yes.
Since we're not raising those components, is our insurance going to stay the same? I know we're protecting them, but we're not raising them.
Yeah, I'm not sure of that. I know that we're gonna need to go to FEMA for a,
Reval.
change of the flood map. I don't
Right.
know if building the barrier, what effect that's gonna have on our flood insurance.
It's my understanding they want to see elevation, not so much protection, so.
Right, and the sheet pile wall will be above the 100-year flood elevation.
Right, correct.
I'm just not clear as to whether that, by having the sheet pile wall, that would remove the site from the flood
Right.
zone.
Okay, those are my two questions.
Yeah, well, I'd like to take the money from the federal government, but I'm curious to know what strings attached, because I'm interested in taking the money.
Right. I believe that by authorizing us to apply for the grant, I would imagine that it does not obligate us to accept the grant.
Accept it.
So I think that we'll have opportunity, once the contract is presented, to make the decision as to whether, if there's strings attached, that we would want to accept the grant or not.
And it went to the planning board, it was 5-0, they approved this, so you went
Yes,
through that? Okay,
that's
so
correct, yeah.
I'm good with that, and time is of the essence, as I heard. Yep.
And if there are no more questions, if there's any other witness who wants to speak forward and on this, come forward and talk. Stanley,
Yeah, okay.
thank you for that thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Councilor.
thank you.
Is there any idea of what the sewer bill might do? Is it going to affect our sewer bill at all? Or is it all grant? Oh, I'm, Stan.
Oh, can we swear Stanley in, please?
Stan Wojciechowski?
Matter before the Narragansett Town Council, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth.
Yes.
Hi, Stanley, we're just so used to you, Stanley, that, you know.
I just was curious on, is there a potential increase, a significant increase in the sewer bill with this action? That's all I wanted to ask. Or is it all grant money?
Only if it doesn't work.
What, come to the microphone, sir, yeah.
To answer your question, I believe this would not have an effect on sewer bills because the grant that we're applying for is for 100% of construction funding. So it may actually have a beneficial, indirect beneficial effect on sewer bills in that if the plant is protected, we wouldn't have to spend money to reconstruct the plant as Warwick did.
Thank you. And if there's no one else, what I'll do is I'll take a motion to, oh, Ann, yes.
You have to accept the planning board recommendation.
Receive and place on file.
I'll make that motion.
We have to do that before closing the hearing? Okay, all right, go ahead.
I made the motion, he
Second.
Second, all right. The motion to receive and place on file, all in the planning board recommendation, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 5-0. All right, if there's no further witnesses on that, then we'll have a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. And now, do we have a motion to,
Accept.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, thank you. Oh, is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Susan. And this is also, this motion is to approve and, not to approve is to authorize and apply. So that would be the motion, Chris?
Correct.
Okay, second from
Second
Susan. All right, all in favor? Any discussion on that? All right, thank you, everybody. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. And you got everything? Good.
Did good.
All right, thank you. So we are now ready to move to our new business. Item number 10, a motion to receive and discuss an update from the co-chairs of the Narragansett Community Athletic Complex Building Committee and to discuss the charge of the committee.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
And this, we're going to invite Tom Fury and Mr. Shovlin to come forward. They're the co-chairs of the committee. And Ray, is your intent to have them present first?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We are moving along. I guess the primary purpose of our meetings has been, as you're well aware, of the budget.
Tom, can you speak more in the microphone? Yeah, this is for everybody because we've heard from some at home that if we can speak more in the microphone and for us not to swallow it.
Basically, we were about,
Pardon me?
Yeah.
basically, we started off about 1.1 million over budget. We've whittled that down twice now through 2 rounds of either cutting or eliminating certain components, and we're about a $150,000 gap now between what we have budgeted and what we have budgeted, what we have estimated. Any questions on that?
Great. So far, we've heard the committee's working very well together. You have 5 at-large members from the town.
5 at-large members from the town. Susan is the town council member, and Tammy McNeese, the school committee member. Yes, very well together. In fact, it's a very talented group. A lot of good input, a lot of good ideas, and working very, very well together.
I have to say, I know you're presenting, but I have enjoyed coming to those meetings and watching. I mean, it's such a cross-section of people with such great experience, and I commend you because I know you're watching the budget very closely as we made a promise to the taxpayers. So I appreciate your diligence on all of the hard work, and I continue to be amazed every time I come to the meetings how everybody's so involved and really doing such a great job. I have all the confidence in the world that at the end, after the design and the construction, that project will come in as we promised the taxpayers. So I want to thank that whole committee thus far.
Okay.
And we interviewed the members of the committee just so the public understands, and we really, as part of our charge, was to make sure that the cost stayed low on this. We know there's 3 sources of money: the donor base, the bond money, and then the school fund balance are the 3 sources that are feeding into this. So. That was what our charge had been, was to make sure to keep that, stay within the parameters of the budget. So thank you for keeping that in mind.
And I'm just going to say one more thing about that. I did go to the school committee, and I did express my concern to make sure that we don't go back and dip into the school committee pot to use more money, that we really stay within the numbers that we had promised. And I know that people are very concerned in watching that, and I think that's a real important part of this project. I mean, we just don't want to go over.
And I think we can accomplish that with it. There's been a lot of compromises made. Probably the next round of cuts will be the toughest ones to make, but I think we can get them.
Great. Do you have anything, Ray?
Sure. Of course, I would have something. You've been told that you have $3.4 million to spend on construction.
That's correct.
And right now, you're at, from what I understand from the last meeting, you're at 3.58 with the monies that you've gotten the design company to come down to. And there's a few things that may have to come out of the project. So can you explain a little bit of the contingency and how much that is? Do you guys have that number in your mind? And do you think that even with the 3.58, we may be able to come below the 3.4 that you have been given for a number to stay below?
Yeah, we're hoping to get to 3.4 and preserve the contingency, because the contingency is for the construction, not for the design. So our goal is to identify enough alternates as we go out to bid, because an estimate's an estimate. Once we go out to bid, we're going to get the real number. If it comes in over our 3.4. We want to have some means to get it down below the 3.4. So we're in the process right now of going through the tough job of identifying what those things are. And of course, you know, everybody has their favorite item or reason for certain things. So we're tackling that right now. But I will say that Gale Associates, I think, has done a great job of really responding to everybody's suggestions for cost-cutting measures. And I think they've done a real good job in 3 cases now, right? Of really, you know, $1 million we've taken away from the budget without really compromising the project. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, and that's where the work's going to really need to take place. So.
With regards to the next 25 years, because that's apparently what I've heard that these things are good for before we have to rebuild the whole thing, can you try to find out for us, from what I understand, 5 to 25 years, over that period of time, we're going to have to be doing some resurfacing and some things like that. Can we ask them as part of their charge, and would you accept as part of your charge to look into that for us and make us understand what those cost estimates will be, maybe in 5-year increments or something, perhaps?
Yeah, the ongoing maintenance and replacement costs. And yeah, I think that's going to be an important number for the town to have.
I mean, the only concern I would have with that, Ray, would be that we are an ad hoc committee, so as far as going forward, maintaining this, I would assume there would be another committee afterwards that would be charged with that.
I think that would probably be part of their Buildings and Grounds Committee of the school. It's up to you guys, really.
Maintain this committee if you want.
Well, that'd be nice if you can get, this is a pretty talented group.
Take that into
But, you know, anyone on your committee who'd like to stick around and serve on that committee would be wonderful. But the point I'm trying to make is, let's get the numbers so we understand what it's going to cost us in 10 years. You know, roughly what I see is a pretty large number, and we should probably try to put that aside each year so that we don't have a big surprise at the end. Deferred maintenance is a big problem. It has been a big problem in the past. So thank you guys very much. If there isn't anything else that you want to add, maybe Chris has some questions.
No, I've just been to one of the meetings. I was very impressed with the way you conducted it. The dynamics of the group was very good, and I really can't add anything else that the rest of my colleagues have added. And just thanks very much for doing such a job. You go into those meetings, and you can see that you mean business, and everybo's doing a wonderful job. So
yeah.
Congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you.
And not including, you know, they're part of it. I mean, it really is a great project. You know, to give a lot of credit to the people who raised the funds. But I'd really like to outline the fact that we received information from at a joint meeting, and I think that I remember it pretty well. And there was $800,000 that was raised through contributions. There was $400,000 that was whether it was matching funds or whether it was
That
state.
grant,
It was
yeah.
a state grant or a federal grant. And then there's so that was $1.2 million. Then there was a $400,000 commitment from the school system, from the school department, and we have a not-to-exceed figure of $1.8 million. Now, to me, that adds up to $3.4 million. So what they've been given is a charge of staying below $3.4 million, which includes the contingency that they just spoke of. So there are costs, and I just need everybody to understand the school committee had costs of approximately $100,000 to raise the funds, and they had costs of the design company of approximately $208,000. The preliminary design and the final design work that they're doing right now. And from what I've been told from Catherine Sapala, is that the school department is picking up those costs so that everybody knows when these fellas bring this in at 3.4 or under, it's really costing us 3.7. Okay, so you understand that. And I agree with you, Sue. Not another dime should be taken out of capital to pay for this in the school department. So I hope that message gets sent clear, and I hope these guys do a great job. I really trust that they will. That's pretty much what I have to
Well,
report
at some
on.
level, though, aren't you going to have to take it from that fund balance if there's,
Say again?
isn't that money coming from the fund balance, that 200,000
Say-
from the school fund balance? Isn't the 200 coming from
Ca-
there?
I believe that Kathy has already accounted
Okay.
for the 200,000. I don't think it's on her next budget. I don't think it comes, you'll have to ask her where it comes from. I don't think it comes from their next capital, from their capital plan going forward, but I'm not sure.
Right. My impression was that the 200 comes from the school fund balance.
Oh, no,
versus
it comes from the
200.
school, but
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to be proposed in her next capital budget or if it already came out. I
don't know.
I
Okay.
think it's already come out. And the town is on the hook for the $800,000 worth of donated funds until the 5-year period is over when those funds come in. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Richard?
You know, I've been critical of the school committee. I'm not critical of the superintendent nor the finance director in the schools. These are top-notch people, very, very conservative. I have obviously no problem with this board, but I do have a tremendous problem with the school committee. The school committee has served us ill in this process. You don't get elected to the school committee if you're interested in tight controls. This may be sour grapes, because 10 years ago, I ran for the school committee. And it isn't good what I see. That $60,000 wasted on the design when we had one bid for 130 and we picked 190 or something like that was most distressing to me. And I hope we could go back and have some sanity here. The school committee chair said, "Oh, I've got to have it. It's my project." It's not her project. It's our project. It's not her money. It's our money. Quite distressing. I was distressed to read about this $125,000 donation, which is dependent on an 8-lane track. We never heard that when we talked about donations. And by the way, it is about time I asked the question, what have we paid to the person, our fundraiser? Certainly a cheery old guy, a friend, I guess. But what have we paid to him, the fundraiser?
I just mentioned that, it's $100,000.
$100,000.
It's under 10%, it's under 10% of what was actually raised.
What an absolute shame that that was not brought to the public. The public got the impression that this was a freebie, a good old buddy doing things for the community. This is a ripoff. And now we get to the $125,000. Well, maybe it's not going to come in because you want this. This never should have happened. The town council, the past town council, should have cleared this. It is not right to give money to a fundraiser without council approval. This is wrong. And to say, well, maybe we won't get the $125,000, let's be sure you take that money from this fundraiser. We never got the impression that he was paid, or if it was a nominal amount. This is not a nominal amount. This is absolutely almost criminal.
Thank you, Richard. Go ahead, yeah.
You gonna need background?
Well, basically,
Yeah,
the school,
he did-
go.
Yeah, it was the school committee's decision, and the fundraiser actually did a great job and did a lot of work, and I'm not going to argue with you, Richard, it's a lot of money, but the gentleman did a great job. We would not have double what they were looking for. Actually, not really double, I'm going to say. They put out, they wanted to raise $600,000, they raised $800,000, but he was very involved and did most of the work on the, or a lot of the work, excuse me, on the $400,000 grant. So there's a lot of work that the man did. So I can't say he didn't do a good job, so I have to defend him there.
And I have to agree. I mean, I know there was a consulting fee. I mean, I heard about that early on in the project. And I have to agree with Ray. I mean, on the onset of the project, when he got involved, he's worked hard for a long time, and they chose to hire him. So that was I thought it was pretty public.
Stan, so the school committee,
Pardon me?
what's the charge, what's
we
the
can't-
charge? What do you want? You want to make sure they stay at 3-4?
My issue is that the construction part of, right now, if it were really 3-4, then the number that we would be giving Tom today would be $3,098,000. But because the school committee has committed to these fellows at 3-4, and having been at a number of the meetings, all but one, in fact, I've seen the work that they're doing. I kind of think that if we keep them at 3-4 and allow the school committee to do what they've said they're going to do, I think that they're going to end up saving that contingency. I would wish that they would do that. In fact, in a promise that was made by the school committee chair during her plea for that designer, she said that designer would save a lot of money, and that's what she wanted to spend the $60,000 extra on. I beg of them to save that money and prove her right.
So I think our duty is then to revisit the 3 inputs, the one of which, one is the donations, one is the 1.8 from the taxpayers and the bond, and one is the remainder from the fund balance. At some point down the road, we need to make sure that those 3 inputs are still totaling up to the right number. That's our job.
Matt, those 3 inputs come to 3.4, but
I got it, but we got to make sure that's the charge so that we know.
But the 3.4 is Tom and Mark's charge, okay? 3.4 is the construction part of it.
I know, I understand, but I'm
Okay.
saying the 3 inputs, that's how you're going to track it. You
Yeah.
got to track it somehow, right?
No,
And so-
I'm following you now. I didn't know what your point was.
Over here, any
No,
thoughts?
I'm good.
All right,
You got 8 lanes to track it.
good. All right, sounds good. Stan,
I was just curious on what items were taking out, what items were taken out in order to save the money? Did we lose the old people track or what, all over the, what did we lose? What did we lose?
they're still working on, so they're
Still
going
working on
to,
it.
yeah.
You'll hear about the design when it's well decided.
The other issue, of course, is $100,000. I wish he hadn't come up here because that upsets me now. Did anybody put out some kind of RFP and get a bid? You know, I mean, we should get a bid if we have a job to do, and we're talking about paying somebody $100,000. Shouldn't be going out for bids to find.
Stan, it was a school committee decision, so.
Did they go for bid then?
I don't know what they did, so, but it's appropriate, their meetings are the 3rd Wednesdays. So, I mean, they're elected independently, they run that part of it.
sounds like
People are trying to blame that on us, it's not, whether you're for it or against it, and, you know, we've heard different points of view.
But they'll be there
Yeah,
Wednesday,
but
this
they're doing
Wednesday
something
night.
wrong,
Stan.
and
Wednesday night
if
is
I
the
hear they're
meeting
doing
goes. yeah.
This Wednesday night,
If they're doing
Stan.
something wrong, you ought to give them get a little grief on that.
It's this Wednesday night, Stan. Go get them.
Thank you, Stan. Yes?
Hi, Harris Chorney. I guess I'm troubled by the fact that money was taken from the education surplus account, if you will, without this body looking at it. And I recognize that the school committee is a separate elected body, but maybe what you have to look at is the way you look at, you being the town council, looks at how we fund the education group. I mean, right now, you get a budget from them, and you approve the budget, and you go through it with them, and you approve it. But what doesn't seem to happen is how do all the capital projects that they come through? This is money that we give the school, we being the taxpayers, and from time to time, they may run a surplus, they being the school, so they keep that. But then it's like, it doesn't seem like, well, what's the control, I mean, what controls are there as to what they do with the surplus that we as taxpayers gave them. There
Well,
doesn't
it's-
seem to be any.
We control the bottom line, and that's it. They tell us what they decide on what is within
they can
the budget. So they make the budget, we control the bottom line of what they can get at the end of all of that. But that's a good point, because there's an operating budget and there's a capital budget. And where school committees and town councils always butt heads, and have in this town for many years, has caused an enormous amount of, in Italian, it's agita. The issue is that whenever a town council slashes the bottom line, the first place that the dollars come away from is the capital fund, and it goes towards the operating budget. And that's because their charge is to educate, and our charge is to watch the dollars. And maybe the capital fund should have its bottom line to be approved, but that's a charter change.
But it's a level funding, right, it's a level, right, you can level fund or you increase the funds,
You could
have
make
the
cuts if you want.
discretion, the school committee has the discretion to do that budget the way they do. They're like a department head, really, is the way to look at it, except with department heads, we can go back and say, cut your budget 10%. We really can't do that with the school committee, we can't cut it.
And they are elected by the people, so you
Right.
kind of have to follow the budget. I was at that budget workshop, so I think it's important to be involved in that side of the budget as well.
Well, no, I understand.
49.
But he makes a
9%.
good point, though.
49.
He makes a good point, though. I mean, it's...
You know, it's again.
But
it's-
why would we, right, if we would change the whole structure of the town works. Our job, right, their school committee's job is to manage the details of the school budget. If you don't like how they're doing that, then you're supposed to change the membership of the school committee. I mean, that's political theory 101. You know, that's if you, but we're not going to get in the weeds of their budget. I mean, that's not, we say this is the amount, we can level fund or increase. Those are the choices.
He's
And
absolutely
the,
right, Harris.
and the important
That's the-
thing, Harris, is that there's two people, Sue and I, that attend these meetings, and we watch their budget, and we report back to our council to say, you know, they want to take away from this to do that, and it doesn't seem right. We communicate, and the town manager communicates with the superintendent, so.
No, I understand all that. It's just, I think we should take a look at as a town that over the years, and I do agree with Richard, I think the management of the school, the education department does a great job. I agree with that. Whether it's the school committee, I won't get into that part, okay? But I do believe they do a great job, and it shows in, you know, I think the school system that we have. But to have been able to maintain or increase their surplus, if you will, to $3 or $4 million, whatever it is, unrestricted.
Yeah.
I think it's around $3 or $4 million.
Yeah.
Okay, and then to be able to use that without any sort of, for again, particularly capital projects, you know, major capital projects. I'm not saying micromanage. I understand that. I wouldn't suggest.
Call the General Assembly. I mean,
No, but I
get it.
That's another good point, but that $3 million you talked about, it's actually 2.5, and it's 10% of their total budget, which is what is recommended to keep as a capital fund. That's what's recommended.
We're getting way past what.
I'm sorry,
Way far
I-
afield. Our charge was stay within the 3-4. We thank the members of that committee. They've done a good
Okay.
job. They have been the ones trying to get the numbers down, so again,
Yeah.
want to thank them. I see Mr. Shevlin leaving, so thank you, Mr. Shevlin.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Tom.
And there's no action on this item because we're just accepting an
No,
update from them.
I appreciate you giving us the time to talk about it a little bit, and
of course,
to send a
yeah.
message to the school committee that this is what we're looking to do.
All right, excellent. And we're going to move on to number 11, a motion to approve the 2015-2018 Towers Operating Plan submitted by the Towers Committee and adopt a resolution.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Discussion. We'll have Dave Austerhout, who's the chair of the Towers Committee, present it. Dave, if you could present the highlights for us. I know this comes up every 3 years for us, the Towers Operating Plan, and the Towers Committee spent a great deal of time working on this.
Thank you. Before I actually get into my remarks, I've got a little handout for you.
Supplemental to the book I just read?
Some money stuff that might answer a question.
It's not a subpoena, right? Don't need any more of those. Sorry, just joke.
We need it. Go ahead.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, members of the town council. It's always a pleasure to come back and talk about a town entity that is not as controversial as some of the other subjects we've gotten into tonight. A lot has happened since approval of the most recent Towers operating plan in 2011. Narragansett weathered the Great Recession, Tropical Storm Irene, Superstorm Sandy, and Blizzard Nemo. Through all of this, the Towers remained a visible reminder of the ability of Narragansett to persevere. Managed by volunteer members of the Towers Committee, some of whom are here tonight, which is appointed by the Town Council, the Towers has become a leading historic Rhode Island venue for both public and private events. Private event bookings have continued to grow over the years, and public events promoted in partnership with the Friends of the Towers have remained very popular with the public. During 2014, the Towers hosted 128 private events and 105 public events. The Friends of the Towers work hard to provide the public with a variety of cultural and performing arts event opportunities throughout the year. A sampling of last year's public events include the annual Easter Sunrise Service, weekly dance lessons throughout the year, historic trolley tours during the months of July and August, music and dancing with visiting bands throughout the summer, classical music concerts by Musica Dulce String Quartet and the Berkeley World String Orchestra, a cello concert by Theodore Mook, the Mad Hatter Tea Party, an afternoon of poetry, a Native Indian Arts Festival, the Contemporary Theater's Christmas Cocktail Cabaret, a performance by children's entertainer Hobie Ford with puppets, and a performance by the Bohemian Quartet, and more. That's only a sampling. In addition to all of these events, Friends of the Towers also hosted the ever-popular and original Taste of the Towers fundraiser, which is oftentimes confused with some of the more recent fundraising events that occur in town. Private events hosted at the Towers, such as wedding receptions, have increased in number from 105 in 2011 to 128 this past year. The increased popularity of historic facilities for weddings, along with implementation of a new off-season discount program, are responsible for most of the increase. That and the hard work of Kate Vivian and her staff. Revenue from private events not only covers all of the Towers' operating expenses, but also contributes to the Towers' fund balance, which is utilized to partially fund capital improvements and the continuing restoration of the Towers. Since the Towers was renovated in 1991 and reopened to the public, operating revenue has continued to cover all of the operating expenses without a need for appropriation from the town's general fund. Restoration of the Towers' exterior has continued. During Superstorm Sandy, the asphalt shingled roof suffered significant damage. The Towers Committee investigated various roofing materials for appearance, suitability for use on the steeply sloped roof, durability, and cost. Town staff assisted by working with the town's insurer, the Rhode Island Interlocal Trust, to identify the roof's insured value. Once the trust's financial participation was identified, the Towers Committee selected treated cedar wood shingles as the most appropriate material for the new roof due to their appearance, historic context, durability, and life cycle cost advantages. With assistance from the Community Development Department, a federal grant, federal money which passed through a state grant targeted for historic properties damaged by Superstorm Sandy, an amount of $57,820 was obtained to supplement the insurance settlement. With proper maintenance, the new roof will provide decades of protection to the Towers. With completion of the new roof, the restoration project will focus on completing restoration and repair the exterior stone masonry and will involve replacement of damaged stones and repointing of mortared joints. This phase of the restoration work will substantially complete the effort begun in 1990 to preserve the towers for future generations. The work will be scheduled only as funding is available. And you can take a look at the Capital Improvements Program page, which kind of gives an overall summary of capital spending plans. The following Towers 2015-2018 operating plan identifies goals and objectives to guide the Towers Committee members as they work to manage the towers over the next 3 years. An additional documentation provided demonstrates how the Towers Committee is organized, how the Towers is staffed and managed, a financial report with current budget showing utilization of revenue in meeting operational expenses, description of the capital improvement program, and a copy of the private event information packet. The members of the Towers Committee appreciate the continued support of the Town Council and look forward to continuing the work begun in 1991 to make the Towers a living part of the community that does not become a financial burden. And the little handout I gave you is kind of a summary of total operating revenue and operating expenses. Details what the contribution from the Towers operation to the Towers capital projects amounted to. And I'm open to any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dave. Well, I'm familiar with the document, and I serve on the Towers Committee, so I'm very supportive of, the work they've done, and I'm very happy with that. I don't know if the other council members have had that time to go through it, if they want more time.
No, I read this, I read the novel that you wrote. It's really great. The only thing that kind of took me a little bit back a little bit, it was the 501c membership-based organization that you would like to start thinking about, and maybe you can explain a little bit about the reason why.
I think what would probably be useful is we included a brief mention of that in the plan.
Yeah, that's what I was
There's no
looking-
commitment to it.
Oh, understood.
But what we'd like to do is have a dialogue with the council, and that's a topic for a work session at a future date.
Yeah. As far as, I just want to defer to Pam a little bit, because this is an operational plan. I mean, how does the town feel? I mean, are they familiar with the plan as well? I mean, I just want to kind of help me out.
Councilwoman, if I could jump in on that question. Thank you. As you know, I was appointed town solicitor 2 weeks ago, and the Towers plan was brought to me as part of tonight's council agenda. And I've had the opportunity to read it. And first, I want to compliment Mr. Osterhout and the committee members. Clearly, this is a thoughtful and professional document. It is comprehensive in the areas of operation that you're experienced with at the towers. Nevertheless, I haven't had the opportunity to conduct a thorough review of the document. There are some possible areas of tension with the town charter that I'd like to make sure the town's interests are protected, as well as some issues about operations that perhaps we can speak directly offline. I think this is, like I said, it reflects a high quality of work product. So I don't want to disparage any of it by any means, but I know Mr. McSally did not have an opportunity to review this. Out of an abundance of caution, I would ask the council for a little bit of time to conduct that review.
All right, so I was just curious, because, I read it, and I wasn't sure we were all on it. I don't mind continuing it so you can read through it. I don't know how you guys feel about that, so you have some time to go through it.
I'll move to continue it.
I just have one question.
And I'll
Do someone want a second?
I'll second it.
All right, so we have a motion to continue. And this also, again, so do we have new people on the council? What's your thoughts?
My question is, Dave, do you support the event plan of becoming a union position?
I wouldn't think that I would.
So put you down for no.
Well, yeah, that's a pretty
We've
big-
already voted on that. We
Yeah,
said we
no,
don't
that's
want
fine,
that.
yeah.
And the
Yeah,
Towers Committee, I know,
I just
doesn't
wanna
want
get-
it.
I just
No,
wanna
I'm
get
glad
the-
he asked.
You got
That's
him.
good.
He's
chair
on the
record.
record,
I
yes.
just want to get the chair on record.
Good, well.
Okay.
So I think, right, there's a lot of different things going on, Dave. I would love to just push it through.
Right, the only time-sensitive aspect was us getting to you and presenting the plan.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's an ongoing, continuing operation. There's nothing, this is a compilation of a lot of different moving pieces, and it's designed to bring it all to you in one package. The budget process is going on now. We participate in that. That'll continue anyway. We're not proposing a new budget in this document, so.
It won't
we'll
hurt you to continue it, right?
We continue doing what we're doing until the town council is comfortable, and if we have to make any changes in it down the road, we're willing to work with you. That's why we have two of you on the committee.
Yeah, I've been on the, I've been on the committee for about 5 years now. Actually, 6 years I've been on the Towers Committee. And I'm very pleased with the plan, and I can't tell you how pleased I am with the committee and you as chair for doing the work you've been doing over the years. And I think this is just a formal review that the solicitor wants to go over. I can't see it taking more than 2 weeks to get it on next agenda, you think, or?
Councilman Wilkins, I'd be happy to be prepared for the next agenda.
That's fine, it's just a 2 week, just put it back for 2 weeks.
And I have no problem at all meeting with Dawson
Yeah.
offline.
Excellent.
It's great, and one of the things I noticed, you can't help but notice that the Towers Committee has done over the years has increased more public participation in the towers, more public events, more opportunities for the public to come in, see and enjoy the towers. And
Oftentimes, in the wintertime, on a weekend night, it's the only place in the pier that there are cars and lights.
Well, I see in May you're going to have a tea party. I think I might have to make that.
There you go.
That's so true. During these snowstorms and it's super cold, there's always cars lined up and having something going on at the town.
So there is one problem that I find with the, you have an organizational chart, and I was just wondering, the way the organizational chart comes down, the Towers coordinator, Kate Vivian, reports to an awful lot of people. I'd just like to say
Well,
thank you to Kate. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. And thank you to all the members of the committee. And what I'll do is I'll call for a vote on the continuance to next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Item 12, a motion to approve the request from Perry Razzo of the Matunic Oyster Bar and Farm to establish an annual fundraiser for nonprofit organizations in our community, scheduled for Sunday, April 26, 2015, from noon to 6 p.m. at Veterans Park, subject to state and local regulations.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Nice.
Would you like to give a brief presentation, sir?
Sure.
Go ahead.
The plan is to have a fundraiser, hopefully an annual fundraiser that will benefit a different cause each year. This year, the cause would be the South County Hospital Cancer Center, which will begin construction this summer. And the idea would have an oyster festival style of fundraiser that all the proceeds would go to these to this cause, the Cancer Center, this year and next year. Maybe something like, well, I want to just name a couple ideas, but a similar cause, and I would be happy to come back to the town to make sure that it was a cause that you guys would be willing to all support. The idea would be to sell tickets, not set in stone, but say $25 a ticket. A ticket would get the customer a dozen oysters and a drink. We'd like to serve beer and wine. We do have a Class P license. I'm not sure if you guys have a copy of it. I have a few copies here with me if you'd like. So we are, my business is legally able to sell off-site. We have liquor vendors and food vendors that we, purveyors, I should say, that we buy from for the Matunic Oyster Bar that are all have expressed their interest to donate product, both food and drink, and We would like to have music, usually with an oyster festival. Folk music or bluegrass music more specifically goes really well. It would be a daytime event. We'd like to run it between the hours of noon and 6 o'clock. I know there's also a road race on that day at the Narragansett Town Beach in the morning, and I'm hoping to coordinate with those organizers. I've been in touch with them already to hopefully have some kind of synergy between that event and our event, as their event is earlier, and you know, hopefully after they're done with their running, they would come over and have some lunch. So we would sell other food there, such as lobster rolls, chowder. Again, all these proceeds would go to the fundraiser. There would be certain costs that I would like to offset with the money that we gain from it, such as if, you know, I haven't asked a rental company to donate a tent, but, you know, they likely won't be able to donate the entire cost. So I would like to, you know, costs like that we would use, pay for with the ticket sales, but there won't be anybody, you know, getting any money from the actual fundraiser except for the South County Cancer Center this year.
Perry, it
so-
sounds like a great idea. I just missed a thing about the liquor, beer and wine, and
Beer and wine is what I'd like to sell there, and one ticket would get you just one beer and one wine, and then they would have to purchase beer and wine after that. And I have the Class B liquor license, and anybody who serves would be Serve Safe certified, so they, you know, we would, you know, just like we do at the restaurant, we monitor any overconsumption.
Yeah, just coordinate with Steve Wright,
Yeah.
Parks and Rec. I'm sure you've spoken with him already. If there's any agenda items we need prior to the 26th, and with Dawson for any liquor license, temporary liquor license one time that we need. So if you make
Was
sure
the
you...
tower involved also? Was the tower involved with this? I thought I read
The
something.
town of South Kingstown?
The towers.
The towers. Actually, yeah, we actually also have the towers rented out for that day, which is, you know, I'd like to run the event adjacent to the towers, and I'm not sure what the event is going to look like, and you know, exactly. So I wasn't sure whether I would be able to secure the veterans field as well, so I did ask.
She's right there.
I absolutely know. And,
She's ready for you.
She's always very helpful, and I think I wanted to secure the towers because I wasn't sure if the park would be available to me, and so I think more than anything that will probably be used as a place to stage our cooking for the guests. I think Oyster Festival will have like a shucking contest, and you know, things like that are more for outside. If it's an awful day, it's nice to have you know, the availability of using the towers. But I think that this will be mainly an outside event.
sounds great.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you know him?
Item 13, a motion to adopt the resolution establishing the proposed wages for seasonal, part-time, and temporary employees for fiscal year 2015-16.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
In terms of discussion, Pam, do you want to speak to this? It comes from Susan Healy.
No,
Comes
Mr.
from
Wright is
Steve.
here to
Oh,
address
Steve,
it.
I'm
It's
sorry.
really, it's not just his issue, if you
Yeah,
notice
no,
on your
it-
sheet. There's a lot of it's our part-time seasonal people who are, I'll let Steve take it from here. He'll do a much better job than I will.
Good evening, hopefully. We're trying, as department directors, to expand the range rate slightly for the positions that are highlighted in red. And again, this is going to give us discretionary wage control on these ranges in these classes. And as you've noticed over the last 3 years, the minimum wage has been raised 3 times. And so what it does is it's bumping all of our seasonal wages up against the ceiling. And what I would like to tell you is that, you know, I can speak about the beach, which is where a lot of our seasonal people, you know, we have over 140 employees. with an emphasis on customer service, long-term maintenance, improved waterfront safety, along with revenue controls and policy guidelines. We staff have witnessed changes in attitude and staffing at the town beach for the last few years. Consider these reasons why we have been so successful. Our senior management team consists of retired school teachers, retired state troopers, retired postal workers, our lifeguard staff, some of them are here tonight, our school teachers, business CEOs, firefighters, EMTs, business managers. These are all dedicated professionals who have worked or are currently working in public service areas. All love their jobs at the town beach, are mature, responsible leaders serving thousands of residents and tourists each day. The continuity of this mature staff serve as leaders and role models to the rest of our young staff at the beach. The majority of these young adults of this community are working their first jobs at our beach, so they're the leaders, they're the ones who work with these young people day in and day out. During the summer season, as you all know, we employ 140 workers at the beach, working a 100-day beach season, 12-hour days. We host dozens of special events. We serve 10,000 patrons every single busy weekend. And as you know, our revenue has exceeded last year $2.1 million. So we are running a big business down there, and we need to have a senior management team, a waterfront safety expertise of qualified people that I can retain, and I need that discretionary ability to be able to bring people on and retain them from year to year. So by you approving this, I can continue to do that, and that's why I'm asking for this, at least from my perspective.
So Steve, this came up before with some of these, you recall, and the council was worried about make sure that if you want to increase the maximums, that's fine, but make sure the minimums we keep it commensurate with the minimum wage. So minimum wage, is this? It looks like they're all lined up with the $9 minimum wage. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and, you know,
To raise that number above 9, the council philosophically in the past, and I still think probably doesn't want that, but we get the increasing the maximum. Well, I don't know if we all do, but I understand increasing the maximum. So as long as I went through them, it looks like we're just getting up to the minimum wage with the 750s and the 850s. Is that correct?
right, and
Yes.
and I totally,
Minimum wage, 9, yeah.
Yeah.
and I totally agree with you. At the beach meeting we had earlier on when you first came on, I heard those words loud and clear. I kept all the minimums other than the minimum wage rates. And, entry-level positions are one thing, but it's the folks that are at the beach and returning every single year. Those are the ones that, I need to be able to support that beach on a day in and day out basis. I mean, they're the lifeline of that beach, and I can't say.
Great. Any thoughts?
Go ahead.
I don't have a real problem with that because I trust you folks to do the right thing on the beach. It seems to be. I just had a question, right? For instance, under one category of the beach, all departments, labor maintenance up to $15 an hour, but yet I have a veteran lifeguard over 3 years. $14 an hour. It seems like we're paying our maintenance people more than our veteran lifeguards. Is that right?
Well, that is up to $14 an hour. I have not been paying them. If you look at our categories, we have been paying them $12 an hour.
Now, I have no problem with paying the lifeguards, don't get me wrong, but I just see the...
Depending on someone came that had skilled labor, that had carpentry skills, plumbing, electrical skills, then it would do that. But again, it gives us a flexibility to be able to bring someone that's talented in that position, but have not been paying them that type of money.
I understand that, but I guess what I have a hard time getting past was we're paying maintenance personnel more than we do the people in charge of saving the lives, that's all. I mean, that's why I'm reading the scale. And I was just wondering how many more of these other things are embedded in here.
Well, those pay ranges work for us, and they've been working well. It's just that I've been trying to expand some of those in red.
So I'm in agreement with it, and I liked your rationale. I mean, I'm down there. I see the people that have been working at the beach over the years, and I think, their quality, they've worked hard, and they are retired professionals that bring the skill set that we need. It's a part-time position. They're not always easy to fill. So minimum wage starting, I'm fine with the ranges, so I can support it.
I was at the meeting when this came up, and I listened to their rationale, and Steve did a great job. Thank you very much.
Oh, it went
I
through
like the
Park and
numbers.
Rec, too. It went through Park and Rec.
I like the numbers that you came up with,
We always like
and thank you.
I just had,
Right.
I had one question there. Assistant beach manager, is that a new position?
Which one?
Assistant beach manager?
Actually, which is a very good question. When I was hired back in 2011, I was the superintendent of the beach. And then Scott Hassel was the beach manager. So when I was I was never replaced. So right now there is an assistant beach manager, but that is not her position. So I'm just actually documenting that in writing here. And so there is an assistant beach manager, but that is not her title. So
Okay.
I'm just trying to document that in a position in a pay grade.
All right, so we got, all right.
So that's not a sign that you're about to retire or anything again?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
But I need that capacity because with the coverage with 7 days a week, 12 hours, and sometimes 14, 15 hours a day, I need to have those two people there.
Yeah, we've never had a chance, this council has never had a chance really to have a work session with you on the beach per se. I guess that won't be coming until next fall. But so this is my first crack at these in years. What's an ocean safety manager? Ocean safety manager?
Well,
What is
he's
that?
here tonight, and Dave Cannon, if you want to come up.
Okay, I'm fine with it. He's our super lifeguard.
He is our super lifeguard.
Okay.
He can speak for
So
himself.
he's the head of the lifeguards.
He is the head of the lifeguard.
Why don't you say head of the lifeguards?
He does that and a lot more. And I'm sure he can speak for himself.
Give him the big raise.
We did have a workshop, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
but we
that
couldn't do anything. We couldn't change
No, we
anything.
talked about the beach a little
talked
bit, didn't
about
we?
it, but
I'm
There's
just trying-
nothing, we couldn't,
No,
you know,
it's
alter anything.
there's a lot of work to be done. in
So
the
this
outline
time, we
work.
want the
No,
work
we just-
session in mid to late September, we've talked about, yeah.
We actually
Yeah.
heard you loud and clear, and the Rec Advisory Board has been working every single month on policies for 2016.
And working,
And we will be back to you at the end of the summer for a very late August or early September meeting.
That's right.
So we have been working on that.
You could do late September, wait till you're all closed.
Yeah, late
That's fine. Do
September.
late September.
Yeah, I think
Thanks
that's
for
Sure, it's
that,
all
Steve.
closed.
What we
up.
had was a joint workshop with all the staff, and all the staff was limited to 10 minutes.
Yeah. That was really great, Steve. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Thank you.
Steve. Richard, you were applauding. I thought you were happy.
I think we got a new assistant beach manager.
We applauded Kate Vivian, rightly so, because Kate is just one magnificent person. And I did work with her on the 125th committee, and she just was magnificent. But I also like to say that Steve is also magnificent. And he is a breath of fresh air because he's looking for a little broader look at management so that he can move quickly to do the right thing. And off what I've seen these 4 years, he certainly has done the right thing. And he is really just an excellent person who, like Kate, deserves some applause.
Thank you, Richard, very much. Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, 5-0. Item 14, a motion to approve the 2015 Middlebridge Marina rental slip rates at $700 per full slip and $525 for a slide slip, which reflects a $50 per slip increase from the 2014 season.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Discussion. Steve, do you want to present on this as well?
Yeah, I'm not really in favor of this, so I want to hear that, what you have to say about it.
Okay. This one, we do a review of our operating plan at Middlebridge every single year. We have a business model that we try to follow, and we took a good look at this, and including in your packets, we took a look at all of the marinas, local marinas, as you can see, other than Metatuxet, which is also very unique, similar to Middlebridge. We took a look at what they charge per foot. We're unique at Middlebridge because we don't offer a lot of amenities. However, I also provided you a background on our history, our capital improvement history. We put a substantial amount of money into dock improvement in 2013. We also purchased the ADA aluminum ramp And every single year, we're also putting improvements into to the top of the floats. Matt Eddy and the Parks Department have been doing that. We're going to be doing that this spring. So every single year, we're putting money into the 37 slip marina. So also giving you some rental history. Yes, we have been little by little trying to bring the rental, what we believe the rental rate should be to the going rate, and we have been doing that for the last 2 years. So I have heard that from several people, but I can assure you that this suggestion to raise it to $700, we think it's fair market. We think it's very fair for what we're providing down at Middle Bridge. We've had several of our customers come in that have wanted to pay. They know this is out there. They have absolutely no problem with that. And I can, not that I can stand here and guarantee you that I won't be before you next year, but I can almost assure you that we won't be back for another raise. But we think, looking at the market and what we're providing, and I think we're providing a pretty, actually a very nice product out there down at Middle Bridge for $700. And on top of that, as you've all said before, is always vet these through our committees, our town committees, and we did that. We went to the Land Conservancy Trust, and they also voted to approve this raise. So, we did our due diligence, and we're before you for a $50 raise for the 2015 season.
I'm glad
you,
that we
Steve.
have Narragansett residents, and for me, it was like, why are we charging them more? We might be upside down in the property, and we're trying to get out of that, but I was just curious, why did we have to add the $50? I understand comparable in other areas, but what was the motivation other than just getting in line with the other marinas? I mean, why?
Well, the motivation is we're still well, to answer some of our folks.
Yeah, I know they all agreed with it. I was just kind of figuring out, like, why at this time.
We're trying, we certainly have operating expenses down there. We have a bond that we're trying to pay off. We're looking at our kayak rental revenue, and we're looking at our revenue versus expenses, and we're trying to come up with a fair rate for folks that are renting from us, and we don't think we don't think it's unreasonable to be charging $700. Certainly the folks that we've heard from that are coming into our office have been,
They want to
in
pay
and
it?
out, bro. So I'd be the first one to hear, believe me.
No, I was just curious, because I was like,
I know Sue's had a boat there, and I've had a boat there. It's a wonderful place to have a boat. It's just a beautiful place to have one, and I'd pay that, again, if I wanted to be in a boat.
And, it's a tough dilemma because, we get, as public servants and being municipal government, to act like a business, but I know that we're supposed to be providing a service and protecting assets of the town. So, I'm always challenged in splitting that, and that because our due diligence and we're supposed to be protecting assets for our town residents, and we do that. But in this case, I think that these are not unreasonable fees for what we're providing.
A couple questions.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Steve, how long is the waiting list?
The waiting list, there's 21 people on the waiting list.
Okay, so there's people there to fill in if somebody bails out.
It's not like the beach where they're
Sure.
dropping off.
Right.
This is a long waiting list for a
Sure.
marina.
And Steve, are these residents?
Excuse me?
Are they Narragansett residents?
They're all,
Only
yes, at the
Narragansett
residents. Yeah,
request
that
of
was
the
the-
last council.
Great.
Yeah.
We have all, Narragansett / taxpayers.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, actually, and on, excuse me, on, was it this week's meeting of the Land Trust, we're going to be discussing the item of rotating the slips, so not one person or one body or one entity can sit on a slip for years and years and years and without giving everybody else a chance. We can't have that. I've had this slip for 10 years, for 20 years. It's mine. Everybody who's a taxpayer is going to be given a chance at these.
That segues
But
into
actually,
my second question. Can we expand that facility and add more slips?
Unfortunately, no, because it was grandfathered at CR, which is our next budget, next item on. We have a very good relationship with CRMC, Coastal Resources Management
Can't slip in
Council.
another 10, huh?
And right now, it's grandfathered in and been licensed as a 37-slip marina. It's very, very tight there, but
I just have one question about the restaurant. Is there anything going on with that restaurant?
Not right now. The bid went out, and there were no bids
Yeah.
that came back in. But
Right.
we're still, the Land Trust, the
Working on
Land
that.
Conservancy Trust, and the Parks Department, and we're working together to look at other.
Is that
other-
facility up and running? Is that a functional restaurant?
No, because it was damaged to Hurricane Sandy.
Oh, okay.
Be more than happy to show it to you.
Yeah, so we should, all the new council members should go on a tour of
I've
Middle
seen it.
Ridge. Yeah.
Now that the weather is getting, I'd be more than happy to show it to you.
Jill, do you want to come up?
So at last Land Trust meeting, we brought this topic up because we wanted to listen to what Steve had to say. He did a great job assessing all the other area marinas. And Susan, to your point, the $50 increase, here's how we took a look at it. There are 37 slips total. So 37 property owners in Narragansett get the opportunity to enjoy the marina. It's a private marina. Nobody else can put a boat in there. That's it. So we started taking a look at it, thinking almost like a cabana situation. Only the people that have privileges for the cabanas at the current date can use those cabanas. The rest of the people can't. So any type of improvements, the capital improvements that Steve mentioned, can only be enjoyed by 37 property owners of the town of Narragansett. And I can probably know that Stanley behind me is going like this when we say, well, we should have the people who are enjoying that facility pay for the improvements themselves. And to add $50 to charge a year right now for that improvements really isn't that much. See, when we purchased the marina and the property, it was not at a point where it was owned by a municipality. So obviously there were some things that were being kind of slid by and not followed. The Eddy family had to run the property as a private individual. When we took over the property, we no longer had that ability. We had to put in ADA ramps. We had to put in certain things that cost the taxpayers money. The Land Trust, we're very much trying to make sure that we add to the revenue of the town, not the reverse. That is one of the biggest goals we had, whether we're at the bungalow or at the marina. We want to make sure that we can increase money coming into the town, not the other way. And so for this small amount, and yes, $50 is $50, it can be meaningful to anyone, but for 37 people to pay $50 more so we can have the improvements on the property so that the rest of the taxpayers don't have to take that burden, we really didn't think was that big of a thing to ask for.
Did you say that you wouldn't raise them for 3 to 5 years?
Well, we can never say never. You know, what if something happens to the property that we have to fix something? You know, it's our goal not to, but you can never say never. And as far as the restaurant building, Patrick, it's in bad shape. The Sandy came in and gutted it. We put the RFP out. We did have a couple of interested parties come and tour, but they never even put in a formalized bid. So we're actively looking for, and you'll see later on that Matt had put an action item in to talk about Middle Bridge. We're looking for ways that we can bring in revenue for the town. It's a priority. We don't want to spend anybody's money.
Great, thank you, Jill.
Sure.
Stan.
You gotta get on the list, Stanley.
You know, when you're operating something like a business entity, I understand government people don't understand that. This is kind of a quasi-business entity out there, you know, not a list. And that's socialism. We don't make a list, you know.
Get a slip.
We charge $100 extra. We got a waiting list over here.
Right.
If we got a waiting list, this is what America is about. If we got a waiting list of people, those who are willing to pay the money get it.
Right.
Now, I say $100 this year and see if we lose any. And if that doesn't happen, it's $200 next year. If you own a boat, you have a lot of money. Come on, huh?
I don't know.
The idea
I got a boat in my
is-
yard with no motor.
You're not. All I'm saying is, we got a list. That's the whole thing. If you got a list of people, the way to vet that list is to get the proper amount of money for that. And the only way to do that now is $100 and see what that runs into. And that's what everybody does. And that's what's wrong with government. Government want to be a nice guy. No more nice guy. We need the bucks. And a few more bucks would be helpful down there. $100, change it.
Thank you, Stan.
It's regular Narragansett people down there, I don't know.
So Jill knows that I was the lone person on the land trust who was concerned about this. You know, there was, when we first put this out, there was the ability for people in the newspaper and everything get in there. People called me, I said, you got to go wait in line, Steve's going to be there, you got to get in line, you got to get in line. So for your boat slip, people did that. We've got about 37 slips down there. They're all under 20 feet, these boats. These aren't yachts by any stretch. I don't think the increase, and the Land Trust disagreed with me, but on this one, I just didn't see, these are the wealthy boaters in town, and this is something that's a benefit for those people. I see where Stan's coming from, I get it, but I think we can get bigger bucks elsewhere. So 21 on the wait list isn't a huge number compared to other wait lists I've seen. I still have the same doubts about it, so. If there's no other thoughts, we can just call it to a vote, I guess.
Call it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Motion approved, 3-2. All right. Item number 15, a motion to approve and authorize CRMC and USFWS to utilize the parking lot of the kayak rental business at 94 Middlebridge Road for a one-week experimental salt marsh project, subject to approval of state and local regulations.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Is there any way we can charge them? So, no.
Is there any way we can charge them, Steve?
No way we can hit those guys up for...
You're going to do an experimental marsh?
Well, I'd love to charge them, but I think in the spirit of cooperation, CRMC does a lot of work with us. We go before them for our sets at the beach and everywhere else. I think in this, I would highly recommend, they are looking to just use the small parking lot, and I've already talked to Jason about this, and he's, with your approval, he's on board for this 1 week. They would like to use the parking lot just for logistics. They want to use this for sediment, to add sediment to the salt marsh. This is an experimental portion for 1 week. So if this works with their equipment, then they're going to have the larger project 1 year from now. So it's pretty basic. That's why I asked them to make this explanation package to include it in your packages. And they want to do it before his season and our season starts. It's great timing for us. I would ask for your approval.
Good.
It's a perfect match. Welcome there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that was great.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved, 5-0. Item 16, a motion to... to number 15? Oh, sure. Can it be just for informational purposes, or are you against it?
Informational purposes.
Okay.
I'm David Smith. On March 29th, Wendy Ferguson of the Save the Bay, she's the the marsh restoration director there, will present salt marsh restoration in Narrow River, and this will include discussion of this experiment that's going to take place, as well as other techniques that are ongoing in the marsh restoration projects on Narrow River. It's a very, very important thing to preserve those marshes so that we continue to have the benefit of the kayak facility and the marina. And I would suggest that it's going to be on March 29th at 1 o'clock, Maury Lugent's Library. It's the last of the On Pettiquomsky Winter Speaker Series this year. They sell out quickly. Make your reservations at the library. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry I didn't see you. Apologize. All right, item number 16, a motion to schedule a work session with the Narragansett Land Conservancy Trust to discuss key elements of the Middlebridge Management Plan.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
I actually put this item on because finally the Land Trust has gotten its Middlebridge Management Plan completed. Jill also has had other individuals come forward with requests for other types of things at Middlebridge. So what we're going to do is, on her Land Trust meeting, she'll be talking about those things. And so we'll need to schedule a work session between the council and, I know Susan's been waiting for this a long time, on Middlebridge. So I was suggesting March 30th, which is the off night. It's the fifth night, which we don't usually have in a month. So I was hoping we could do that
That's
on
fine.
March 30th.
I'm good.
And do we have anything March 30th? Good. All right. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0.
What time is that? What time is that?
I'm sorry. It's 6 or 6:30?
6:30 is probably good for people, right?
All right,
18:30,
6, I'm sorry, Ann.
Yeah, 6:30 just for people, I don't know.
6:30, that will be at 6:30. 6:30 work session, March 30th. Got that, Jill? All right. Item number 17, a motion to discuss the creation of a Town Employees Benefits Committee with review of town staff, town solicitor, and finance committee before implementation.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Discussion. Patrick?
Great idea.
Yeah, this is from the Finance Committee, and their position is we need to form a committee regarding our OPEB costs next year. GASB, the government entity that monitors our pension liability. They're going to ask for more accountability of our OPEB liability. And Richard and Harris are here, and they can chime in and explain it better than I, certainly. And this is something that, this is another future unfunded liability that needs to be addressed. So, any questions?
Harris, do you want to talk to it?
Can I be on it?
Yeah.
Hello again. I won't get into everybody knows about the unfunded liability, so I won't get into that. But just take a moment for those council members who maybe not have heard what the Finance Committee has said in the past, is that the Finance Committee believes that benefits should be viewed as one benefit. That is, you've got pension benefits and you have these things called other post-employment benefits. Both of them are very large amounts, as we know, unfunded liabilities. Right now, certainly there's a committee, the Pension Committee, looks at the pension side of things. But in our view, from what we understand, the Pension Committee really focuses more on the asset side, which is certainly a good thing, but there's not necessarily on this unfunded liability side. Relative to OPEBs, there isn't any committee that is looking at OPEBs, if you will. You're continuing to fund OPEBs. It's not anywhere near, obviously, the pension amount. It's $2 million in assets, but the town council will continue to fund that, so those assets will continue to grow over time. So what we believe is, because you've got these two major unfunded liabilities, you have a growing asset base on the OPEB side. We believe that the town council should look at these benefits as one, employee benefits, and therefore should have one committee that looks at both of these benefits, not only from the asset side, but also from the liability side also. So that's really what it comes down to.
So the Finance Committee was created by ordinance or by resolution? Do we have that information, what their charter was?
It was created by ordinance.
Yes.
I know that.
Dawson, do you know?
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance Committee was created by town ordinance, Division 9, Section 70-280. So to a certain extent, the mandate of the committee that's being suggested falls within the mandate of the Finance Committee as it's currently contemplated under the town ordinance. Part of your duties as the Finance Committee, however, are to report back on your recommended policies, presumably in the form of reports and your meetings with the town management. So ultimately, I think this comes down to the form that the Finance Committee is recommending for future study of the OPEB issue and taking that holistic approach you're talking about of viewing OPEB liabilities and viewing pension liabilities under the same accounting framework.
Accounting framework and committee
So it should come, within your enabling ordinance, this was part of your charter. Is that correct?
Not specifically, no. I don't think specifically. I mean, there is this other, I believe, in the ordinance. I don't know the ordinance. I don't remember the exact.
Because it would feel like it's a better fit for you guys to do a subcommittee.
But what we're talking about, though, also is not just, we've been focusing on the liability side, as you know. We haven't come back to you at all and said, here's what we think the asset should be or anything like that, where you should invest. We haven't looked at that at all, because we didn't think that was our charge.
But it sounds like it is.
Mr. President, the charge of the committee is to review once completed the comprehensive annual financial report, and we just went through that exercise to a certain extent, and any recommendations contained therein, as well as to assist the town council and school committee in their oversight of the financial statements and systems of internal controls, as well as the town's compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. So to the extent that we are talking about the OPEB, the unfunded OPEB liability in concert with the pension liabilities, I think that falls within that mandate, because we're talking about regulatory standards, the new GASB reporting requirements. That's why we are going to be viewing OPEB and calculating OPEB in a new manner. So I think this, really comes down to the council's direction and the finance committee's stated preference on how to organize this. But I do think that if you created a new committee, it would have some duplication of this mandate.
Why don't we kick it to you guys to see if there's members on your committee who are interested in a subcommittee on this and look at the ordinance again, and because that was my instinct, is it fell within the ordinance, but it would seem like duplication to add another committee.
Yeah, I think what we just said is I think our thinking was that there is this pension committee, which has its own.
But that's an independent board, Harris.
Maybe that's it. Again, we didn't know. We knew this wasn't going to be. This required a lot of review.
Yeah.
But that's why we sort of said there is this, entity called the pension board or whatever. Could you make that an employee benefits board, if you will?
Yeah, well, like what Darcy was saying, it's sort of in there right now as the finance committee. Maybe we can clean the language up or clarify the language on the ordinance itself, or amend the ordinance to include this specifically, and then make that part of your charge on a formal basis.
Again, what we look at, what we want, we believe though any committee like this should look at the asset side too, not just the investment side. Yeah. So I don't know if you're going to have a duplication of effort between.
We could even change by ordinance the name of the finance committee to the finance and.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, if I may ask a question to Mr. Chorney to clarify, when you're referring to the pension committee in your memorandum to the council, are you talking about the pension board?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. In which case, the charges of those two boards are quite radically different. Yours is an advisory, policy-based committee. Theirs is simply as an adjudicatory function with pension questions. And so, I think that I don't think anybody in the council, and certainly not I, is suggesting that this is not a policy area that doesn't deserve very serious contemplation. But I think structurally, the mission of the pension board is quite different than the finance committee. And I think this responsibility would fall most appropriately underneath the finance committee, probably in a subcommittee context, or simply as your committee's recommendation on OPEB policy. For example, if you believed after reviewing the financial information presented that the town could take affirmative policy steps to reduce its or to address its OPEB liabilities, that's what you've been asked to do as a finance committee. So to the extent we can get you additional expertise, I think it's a good idea. I just don't know that creating a separate committee is going to move the ball organizationally.
Yeah, why don't you bring it back to your guys? Yeah, it's very conceptual. Yeah, bring it back, look at the ordinance, and then think about a subcommittee option there, because the pension board route is pretty different from what.
How many are on the pension board right now? How many members?
More. Our finance director would know.
It's 7 to 9. There's some representatives from unions. There's a couple at-large members, but it's a totally different animal. It's an independent board. It's like the zoning board. Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah. So what we're saying is, again, you've got this large number of assets that are growing. Good thing. It will just continue to grow because you're putting more into the OPEB side. So somebody, whether it's finance committee, whoever, we just.
Yeah. No. If you guys could kick it around a little more, that'd be the best.
Feels like your committee.
Thank you.
So we don't have action on item number 17. Richard. Yeah.
Yes, I disagree with that particular view. And let me try to explain why. Well, I'll give you one big reason. None of us are lawyers. None of us are human relations experts. So these are two important people that don't exist on the finance committee, nor will I think you find them on any finance committee. This basically is a legal problem, it's a human relations problem, it is a complex problem well beyond the skill level of any finance committee. Let me try to explain it to you again. Not every city and town has an OPEB problem. If this were true, this problem would have been faced by the state. About half the cities and towns really don't even have a major issue with OPEB. We are now probably in first place with the most severe OPEB problem in the state. And I did the study. The state did a study 4 years ago, and I went through every city and town, and we looked at it as we reported to the past council from the point of view of number of citizens in Narragansett and our tax rate. We're right up there. Now, the cities and towns like Providence, West Warwick, that were ahead of us, or really worse than us, all have done renegotiations with retirees. While we have made, I think, substantial progress with our most recent 2 negotiations, we still have not had a meaningful discussion with our retirees. The Finance Committee has no basis to talk to retirees. To think this problem can be solved without talking to retirees, I think is somewhat naive. Now, is the solution to our unfunded pension and unfunded OPEB liabilities easy? It certainly isn't. Absolutely not. This is a very, very difficult topic, touching on law, accounting, human relations. However, we must start somewhere. And this committee that Harris proposed gives us that opportunity to explore solutions with a broad-based group. However, this group is put together, a person suggested that the solicitor do this, treating pensions and OPEB together. And we have made progress there. We are at least thinking of them as one liability for the future. And this, of course, is going to be mandated very vigorously by the Government Accounting Standards Board within a year or 2. Now, in my view, what we have to remember here, it is crucial to know that the real losers, if bankruptcy were to happen, are the current employees and the retirees, and not the bondholders. Take a look at Central Falls. Who lost? It was the employees and the retirees who lost. The bondholders didn't lose. This isn't Detroit, where the bondholders really got wiped out, and the employees, the retirees, a little slap on the wrist. No, the state of Rhode Island law favors bondholders over retirees and current workers. Now, this is something that we must stress. This isn't done here out of an attempt to hurt the workers or to hurt the retirees. It's to make this vivid point that they are the ones who are going to lose, not the bondholders. The bondholders in Rhode Island are favored over employees and retirees. So what we need is a group of people, including a lawyer, and none of the people on the Finance Committee are lawyers, a human relations expert, and we need a couple of retirees to talk to, and perhaps a couple of current employees, because unless we get a dialogue going with our current employees, which we do in negotiations, but certainly we haven't done it with our retirees. To me, I see the current workers contributing a tremendous amount to their pension, in addition to Social Security. And they are, in effect, sort of helping out the retirees. And I just don't think they're getting a good deal, the current employees. And so with this, there has to be a dialogue with all groups concerned. If we don't do it, and this Finance Committee does not have the power to have this dialogue with a lawyer on hand, with retirees and current workers. There is no ability to have a dialogue. And without a dialogue, we are dead in the water. So I strongly think that this proposal, it's a tentative thing. Sure, it's going to be here and there because we do need a lawyer. We do need to have access to retirees. This is our biggest problem. How do we talk to people who are not represented by current negotiations? And so I urge that this be a start. We have to start somewhere. And to think that the Finance Committee has the legal ability to do this is incorrect.
Thank you, Richard. All right, no action on number 17. Next item.
I'd like to say something here for a minute. You know, Richard's right. We just can't pass the buck and keep kicking this OPEB can down the road. This thing really needs to be scrutinized. Maybe we can steal somebody, a committee member, from the pension committee, and a couple of guys from the Finance Committee. Maybe get our Human Resources Director involved. And like Richard said, start a dialogue to address this situation. It's out there.
The dialogue started. They can talk at the finance level.
Yeah, I know.
They come up.
I
I
know,
mean,
but-
yeah. So let them go back, and I think it's right now within their charter to start that right, and we'll
Right,
go
but
from
this
there.
is something that we just can't, you know,
We
keep
got
putting
all
on-
we
keep
got
putting
all
on
our
the
guys
shelf.
on one health plan last time. I mean, we have done something. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was reported we saved 55 million. 55 million from what?
Newspaper's not always right, Patrick. So
Okay,
I'm sorry,
well,
the article was wrong.
Well, that's the numbers I keep getting. That's
So,
the numbers I keep
I mean,
hearing.
anyway,
So
so
this is something that needs to
What?
be addressed, for the record.
It wasn't wrong. It's over 30, it was the actuarial report, it's over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
55 million's over 30
So over
years.
30 years, what's the number? What's the OPEB top line? Did we save 10%? 50%?
We saved 55 million over 30 years.
Right. So is that
And
10% savings?
You know, this is something that we as staff work on all the time.
Oh, I understand.
Every single day, we're working on this. And the negotiating committees really, we're working on this, that's all we think about. Just so if anybody thinks there's not work going on, it's going on every single day,
I understand, but
at a very high level, by the way.
But to what Richard and Harris has related here tonight, I mean, we need a dialogue with the retirees. We need to address this issue, and it's something we just can't keep putting off. I just,
We're not putting it off.
all right. So we've started the dialogue on item number 17. Everybody, all at home, we've been working on it. It's continuing. So thank you. Executive session. We have a motion to retire to executive session after the March 16, 2015 council meeting, as in accordance with 42-46-4 to discuss litigation regarding Metro PCS, as in accordance with 42-46-5 subsection A2, and appoint Dawson T. Hodgson, Town Solicitor's Clerk Pro Tem. Roll call vote. Mr. Wilkins. Mr. Murray.
Aye.
Mr. Mannix. Aye. Ms. Bonanno.
Aye.
Mr. Rinaldi.
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a great night. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
That's right, that's good.
Well, it's